So the last thing that I'm going to share with you for studio lighting, to add a little bit of fashion flair, is how to use a unique piece of equipment. What's great about this piece of equipment is that it creates really unusual lighting, it has that fashion feel to it, and it's really affordable. It's not expensive at all. The piece of lighting equipment I'm going to share with you today is a constant fluorescent ring light. And so the one that I'm sharing with you specifically here is created by Stellar Lighting Systems, and you can get it for less than $200. And what it is, it's a circular fluorescent tube. It's constant, and what that means is when you shoot, you are shooting as if you're shooting in natural light. It's not strobes like studio strobes. And what's really great is, yes, it's bright, but I have the ability to shoot at a narrow depth of field, a really wide aperture. So a lot of times I'll shoot at 2.8. And so if you see, in my eyes, I have these big circular catch lights, which are really cool. And so the closer you move the subject to the light, the bigger those circles get. The further you back them off, the smaller those catch lights get. And so for me, what I'll do is I will shoot, and I will probably shoot at 2.8, so it's just focused on the eyes, and then everything else starts to fall soft. This light, it's frontal, it's glowing, it's really beautiful. What I tend to do is when I'm photographing a subject, and this works with men and women, is I will put on, for women for example, something shiny. I'll put on shimmery jewelry, shimmery makeup, and what it does is in that light it just looks beautiful. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to shoot some of that shimmer, shiny effect. When I'm shooting women, what I do is I overexpose, and that just creates a really light, glowing look. We process ring light as being high fashion because that's where it's been introduced to us, and we've seen it plenty of times in the past in fashion magazines and campaigns. When I shoot men, what I do is I pump up the contrast really, really high, and I drag the blacks, and basically what it does is it gives you cool catch lights, and then it gives you kind of a gritty effect because you have all that detail being exposed to the camera. Today I'm just going to shoot a woman. I'll give you a couple tips and tricks, but really it's pretty easy and fun to do, and like I said, it's about $200, so it's definitely affordable if you want to add just a little bit something different to give those portraits that you do, whether it's a headshot, whether it's a senior portrait, whether it's a bride. You can add that fashion flair technique just by using this light. You look so good. When using a constant fluorescent light, and there's other ones that are made that aren't just circular, they're actually banks of light that you can get that are fluorescent, but because it's constant light, you're exposing and capturing any light in the scene. So if you have lights on in the background that are tungsten, you're going to get a yellow hue in the background, or if you have daylight coming in, it's going to be mixed. Now, this particular fluorescent tube is daylight balanced. So if there is daylight, they should balance, meaning you won't have mixed color tones. But it will be messed up with the tungsten lights. If you have regular fluorescents that are actually fluorescent colored overhead, it'll mix. So long story short, turn off any other lights. Make sure that this is the only light in the scene. Here there are lights on me because I'm being illuminated, so it is mixing, but because this light is so strong, it mostly overpowers it. So just something to keep in mind. All right, so what I'm going to do with her is, what's great about this particular one is I have the arm on it so I can adjust. I make it so that it's centered, and what I'm looking at in the eyes is I want that catch light to surround the pupil. It has a really great effect. Sometimes I want it to be even bigger. So I'm adjusting that. Perfect. And what I want to do is, while I'm showing you this, really it's not that hard. You just shoot. I shoot on aperture priority. I'll shoot maybe at 2.8. Okay, so the camera settings that I have this on right now is 1/200th of a second. F 2.8, yeah, 2.8 at ISO 800. Because it's constant light, I need a little bit higher ISO in this instance. So I'm going to shoot. This is a daylight balanced light, so you can set your white balance to daylight. It's not actually fluorescent, even though it's a constant fluorescent light. The color balance is daylight. So I can set this to daylight balanced and shoot at 2.8. And what I'll do is, right now, I'm looking at these earrings, and I'm catching the iridescence on them, and that's what the light's doing. So I'm going to pose her and make sure, watching the earrings, that that's reflecting. That's also why I picked a shiny shirt, because you'll get kind of that glimmer, and it just gives you that high fashion glitz that you want. So let me shoot a couple frames here with my 85 1.4. Perfect. Beautiful. And if I want bigger catch lights in the eyes, I have you lean forward and keep leaning forward. Perfect. A couple other tips that I would give you is if I have her lean forward. If I move her closer to the light, yes, the catch lights will get bigger. But if I have her sit back and I move the light further away, but I have her just lean her chest forward, it does the same thing as if I were standing up on that chair and shooting down. It's going to bring her eyes closest to the camera, so it'll accent those eyes, it'll make them look larger. So when I'm shooting this, that's what I do most of the time. I'll sit somebody in the chair, move the light back a little bit, and then have them lean forward. So have you do that for a few more shots. Let me just grab a couple of things. Perfect. And as I said with women, I like to overexpose. Gives me just really nice glowing light. Turn your head that way again. And good. So just to give you a little recap of this, this is a constant fluorescent ring light. There's several brands that make them. You're going to be shooting aperture priority or manual. It's not a flash, it's a constant light. Daylight balance is what you would want to have for your white balance. Some lights might be a little cool, a little warm. You might have to go for a custom white balance. But really what I'm paying attention to is looking for shimmer, looking for something that shines because it gives it that kind of fashion effect, that fashion feel. If I want the catch lights in the eyes to be bigger, I can lean her forward. Otherwise, I'll just shoot like that. I use a longer lens if I want more compression. If I want something kind of wacky and cartoonish, I'll shoot a little bit wider. You look great. This effect looks great on you. Your skin looks beautiful. When I overexpose, it's just glowing. So I'm just going to finish with a couple shots of her. All right, here we go. Perfect. Well, that's good.